Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's the day we're going to take out the cold air intake filter. For some of you, maybe the Attack Blue. In my case, it's the blue filter that came with the Halltech cold air intake, which is, I guess, almost identical to the Attack Blue. We're going to take it out and clean it. This should be done according to their recommendations. Every time you do an oil change, or which would be about 7,500 miles, in my case, or in many cases less, or at least once a year. So I'm at the 10,500 mark, which puts me at about 7,000 miles on this air filter and almost a year. So I'm going to clean it, and I can tell there's actually a little bit of, I'll call it lag, or I can feel a tiny bit of lag. I can feel like it needs to be cleaned. So let's go ahead and take this apart. Let's do it. So first thing you're going to want to do is remove your net if you have one here, and there's 4 of these round knobs that actually hook these into. All they do is just turn them counterclockwise. They twist off. Take those off 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll get to this carpet piece. Alright, so once you've got those 4 things out, you're going to take your carpet, get your little fingers under there, and just peel this off. This is going to reveal That's going to reveal this panel. These are T15 screws. I'm missing one here because when I did the cold air intake from Halltech, they have to remove this one for the where the anchor sits. You have to remove that to let that fit. So we're going to take these all off to move this cover out, and then we're going to get to the cover of the cold air intake. Alright, all those T15s are out. Let's remove this cover, and there she is, the Haltech cold air intake. So it's also a good time to just make sure everything looks okay. All your hoses, connections, everything in here, making sure that they're tidied up. You're not really going to have to mess with those right now, but we're going to remove these screws right here. Alright, so this is not, or these are not, T15s. This is an Allen. So just figure out which one it is. I'm not even sure. Be careful taking these off. There's a washer. Don't lose the washer. Just never fun to have to try to fish that stuff out. This cover should just wiggle its way out of here. Nope, there's 2 more under here. I forgot about those. Let's see how dirty this blue filter is. So this just comes out. I'm going to clean this up. This actually looks pretty good. Seal looks pretty good. This should pull out pretty easily too. Oh, look at all that. Can you see that? Wow, look at all them leaves. Okay, so that's all in there that this caught, along with a lot of debris. And if you look in there, look at all the leaves that this thing has caught. So this is clearly doing its job. And I think it's going to perform better with that stuff out. Look at all that. Now we're in South Florida too, where there isn't a major leaf, or I should say fall, where there's foliage changes like there are in the north or in other parts of the country. But even with our minimal amount, that was caught in the air intake. I'm actually kind of impressed. I'm going to give this a good little vacuum as well. Try to suck out all those little pieces. Don't touch the mass airflow sensor that's in there. If you get oils on that, that's going to be a big problem. But I'm going to just lightly, with a damp cloth, just clean all this up here. Make sure that stays clean, get any of the surrounding dust, and then we'll go to work on the filter. Alright, using a 50-50 alcohol and water solution, just going to give it a little damp wipe around in here. That just came out of there now. You want a cold air intake, but you also want it to be a clean air intake. You don't want this to your engine. I said a curse word. You don't want this stuff getting in your engine. Yeah, so that's what came out of there from wiping it down. Again, don't touch the mass airflow sensor that's in there. You don't want any oils and you don't want any chemicals on it, because then you'll start throwing codes and that's, I cursed again. And there's the last thing you want. Alright, good enough. Not a bad idea to clean this up as well. And then we'll actually get into the filter. Yeah, there's little particulates all over this. Alright. Let's get down to it. Look at that muck. It's a filthy muck. Alright, so first thing they recommend doing is tapping everything loose out of it. So first of all, you can see there's a bunch of leaves in here, but I'm going to just throw them on here. And you want to just tap debris and sediment that's in here. Get it out of your filter. So that's just from tapping it lightly. It's a pretty decent amount of crap. A little bit more is coming out. Not a ton, but stuff. Now, you can still see it's maintaining its blue color. One thing that they definitely say not to do is to take a pressure washer to this, contrary to what you may think, because it'll break down the fibers and it won't filter as well. But what they do say to do is you can blow some air, not with a compressor. I specify not with a compressor. But if you want to blow air, blow it from the inside out, because the filtration happens this way. Clean air comes through here, so you want to blow it that way. Don't push it in towards where it's going, towards the engine. Blow it from the inside outward, or hose it from the inside outward, but don't pressure wash it, and don't use compressed air. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a hose, not a high pressure hose and not a pressure washer, but we're going to just shoot some water from the inside. Yeah, there's a little bit in there. Alright, so as you can see, That's the amount of filth that came out of that from one simple pass of just a little bit of water. I'm not doing this at high pressure, but just enough to push some of that out. Look at what came out of that filter. I'm going to dump this, and we're going to do it again and see how much more comes out on the second pass. Okay, let's do another pass from the inside out. Alright, so definitely not as dirty, but more came out. So what I'm going to do now, even though you're going to consider me an amateur, we've got Dawn Professional. And we're going to put some of this in some water and let that soak for about 10-15 minutes, agitate it, move it around, flush it out, and probably do it one more time to really clean this bad boy. By the way, don't use car cleaning products because there may be other chemicals, scents, other things that could possibly affect the material of your filter. They recommend using something like a Dawn or other dish soap. I'm going to go with Dawn just because that's probably what they recommend. How much? I don't know exactly, but I'll put in a decent amount. Watch and see what you think this is. Maybe a couple tablespoons. I don't know. That should be a good amount in there. This is industrial, professional strength, so, I don't know. Gets off grease, too. So I got just enough in there to cover the very top. I don't need more than that. And then they say to go ahead and agitate it in your setting. You're terrible. I hope you're agitated. Just kidding. You're actually very good. So let's agitate it. We'll get some motion going, which is pushing, I guess, in a hydrodynamic way, the way the aerodynamics would go through the air filter from inside out or outside in. We're just pushing stuff around. And you can already see the water is definitely turning color in there. So we're going to let this soak. I'm going to agitate a little bit. Are you agitated? Are you irritated? Alright, I'm going to let that soak in there for a good 10-15 minutes. And we'll do a little more. 15 minutes later. Alright, so agitate this a little bit more. See what else we can get out. This still looks, well, actually looks more blue than it did before we did all this. And that's what the water looks like now. Well, some of the blue tinge is from the Dawn soap, but there's definitely some stuff in there. There's definitely sediment in there. That's not clean. So we're going to flush this out. We'll do it again. Alright, let's hose this out. Alright, so let's look at that water. That water is very clear right now. I mean, that is very different than what we had before. That's not clean. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more soap. Very accurate, the amount. I'm going to agitate this for a bit. Alright, let's let that sit for another 15 minutes. 20 minutes later. Alright. So looking at this water, it is much, much clearer. I'm going to try agitating this even just a little bit more. There's not much coming out of this. It's as clean as I think this thing is going to get. So, pretty damn clean. Although I guess I am getting a little bit out of it now. It's mostly just sudsy agitation. Yep. Alright. So let's dump this out. Well, we'll just rinse this out now. We're not going to do another suds wash. That's pretty darn clean now. Most of that soapy water residue is now off. I would go as far as saying that that water might be slightly murky, but that could be some of the soapy residue that was in here. I don't know if that's really dirty. You be the judge. Why don't you comment below if you think it's dirty? But we're going to hose this off. Any more soapy residue, get that out. Next step, since we cannot, that's clean. Since we cannot use a compressed air hose to blow this thing dry, they recommend you just let it sit in the sun, and in Florida we can, although today is really not a hot day. It's about 77 degrees right now, which is quite lovely, in fact. I'm going to try to get this in a sunnier shot so that this can grab some of the heat of the sun, so we can put this bad boy in and not have water go in our engine, because that would kind of suck, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't think so. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so you've seen today that, yeah, there's still a little bit of discoloring, but I mean, we cleaned this thing up as best as I think we can. This air filter did a very good job of filtering out a lot of debris, leaves, dirt, debris, sediment, things that get kicked up on the road that the cold air intake shouldn't have. This, what I showed you today, is for the Halltech cold air intake, as well as if you have the Attack blue filter, this will work as well. And I do believe this will work on any wash. What I've done today, the procedure-wise, will work for any washable filter. This does not include filters that require oil. This is a dry filter. This is a non-oil filter. If it requires oil, you'll have to put oil and let it seep in there, etc. But that's a whole nother ball of wax, and that's a different story. This is for a dry filter. In this case, the Attack Blue, or the Hornet, I think it's called, for the Haltech cold air intake. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit more. It's drying pretty quickly, actually. I did take a leaf blower, gently, just blowing from the inside out, just to help move things along a little bit. And I'm going to let the sun Florida sun do its work. But yeah, man, it's in pretty good shape. So every oil change or so, which is about 7,500 miles per manufacturer recommendations. Me personally, I'm going to do it every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. So you may want to take this out, wash it. It is not hard. It's a bit time consuming, but not a hard job at all. Quite easy, in fact. Or if you don't drive your car very much, then just do it once a year, they say. So I'm not really sure why once a year if you only drive it 2,000 miles, because you don't have a whole lot of debris in there, but I guess it's just a good idea to make sure nothing gets all mucked up and gunked up in there. As far as putting this back in, just reverse order. Gently put this back in. Now, some people had issues with the Attack Blue. They had to heat it up a little bit to get it to wiggle in there. This one doesn't have any problem whatsoever. But just gently put it in there. You're going to do your Allen screws. You're going to do all your T15s. You're going to put your carpet back in. You're going to put your little knobs in there, and you're good to go. Just go reverse order the video. You don't want to see me do that again, do you? So that's it. Joe's Garage. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comment below. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. That's it. Alright, so we're back in the C8 Corvette. The newly cleaned air filter. And this thing now does feel a little bit peppier. Maybe it's psychological or placebo, but it feels a little more get up and go-ish. Oh, I like it. It's good. Stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, Joe's Garage. Woohoo!